we go. With all our hearts,
with all our hearts, we pray and ask. God bless Anambra. God bless the shining light that we bear. We're the only ones to make her brighter, the only ones to make her better, the only ones to make Anambra shine. With our sweat and blood, every breath of our lives, with trust in God, we will lift our homeland high. We believe in togetherness, we'll build a land of progress. Lift the spirit of Anambra, lift the spirit of Anambra, lift the spirit of Anambra, states we love.
Your Excellencies, please, we may have our seats. Your Excellency, the amiable Governor of Anambra State, may I very warmly salute your commitment to the development of the state with great strides. It's quite gratifying to see a whole lot of changes going on here. That the state is one big construction site. It's so exciting, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, they were gathered here this morning thanks to the marriage between Access Bank and Stanel Group. And that's why we're here. Beyond infrastructure, Mr. Governor, Mr. Stanel Group, Mr. Access Bank are building synergies, building symphonies by creating harmonies for us to have a melody with physical infrastructure. The core importance is human capital development. No wonder this beautiful marriage is giving birth to our gathering this morning to deepen that which we know, with the theme becoming more. Access more with Stanel Masterclass. Your Excellency, we salute that which you're doing. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have in our midst the chairman and royal father of the day, who himself is a professor, a commander of the Federal Republic, member of the National Institute already introduced. Join me again to celebrate the only Obi of Onitsha that is not crowned but emerges. Join me, welcome Professor Nnaemeka Alfred Achebe again. One round of applause for him. Your Royal Highness, you welcome. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we have arrays of very deep people. People that can impact rich stories, great achievement, accomplishment, tearing through altitudes, gaining grounds in our midst, just to impact the Anambra youth. In our midst, we have Her Excellency Dame Virgie Tiaba, former governor of Anambra State. One round of applause for her. A celebrated man, global personality, intellectual per excellence, advisor to government, the man behind the Lagos Business School. The household name is in our midst, just to impact the young people of Anambra State. As the physical infrastructure is going on, there is a need for human capital development. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, join me celebrate and welcome the one and only Professor Pat Utomi. An Amazon, a lioness, great courage, great strides, looking 40. She just turned 60, but she looks 40. A mother figure, a barrister, a lawyer, celebrated CEO Britannia U. Join me, welcome, Catherine Uju Ifejika. You're welcome, ma'am. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO, MD of Access Bank is spiritually here. He did all he could to be here physically, but is ably represented by executive directors of Access Bank. May I very kindly welcome the directors of Access Bank in our midst. A warm round of applause for them. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the healthiness of marriage is when there's an established communication and a synergy between the people involved. Access Bank, the man behind that great vision, knows how to raise people, mold people, support vision, strengthen concepts, and build ideas. May we again salute Access Bank with a warm round of applause. Allow me welcome the man behind the mask, the reason why we're gathered here. Young, very deep, so committed, understand that the core essence of humanity is that you may impact other humans. This morning, join me welcome the CEO Chairman of Stanel Group, Chief Stanley Uzochukwu. One round of applause for him. Many partnership. Your Excellency, permit me to welcome some of your lieutenants doing great job in partnership with this great man. Honorable Commissioner, Diaspora Affairs, Culture and Tourism, Honorable Salim Banae, for a warm round of applause for her. Allow me welcome in no special order, Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Honorable Afam Banae, for a warm round of applause for him. Let me again welcome Right Honorable Friday Osanebi, former Deputy Speaker. Your Excellency, you're welcome. Let me welcome the great family name, Chief Oscar Udoji is here. Celebrate him, please. Chief Victor Nwankwo is here. Let's celebrate him. Brand new professor, young, elegant woman, Professor Lillian Orogbo. One round of applause for her. Let me welcome Pastor Obi Ogbo, Senior Pastor, Garden Grace Church. We have in our midst the representative, official representative of the MD CEO of Access Bank, Mr. Victor Etwoku. One round of applause for him. And the entourage. Access Bank is creating access for more people thanks to this huge marriage with Stanel Oil and the government of Anambra State. May I also welcome Professor Olusegun Dakpo, Shogbeson, Onitsha Business School. One round of applause for him. Otumba Ayo Omotosho is representing the good people and government of Ondo State. One round of applause for him. Lagos State is not left out this morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We have Ambassador Omolola Ifayemi representing Lagos State. Edo State is here. Join me, welcome Prince Ozolua. He's representing Edo State. Edo State, you're welcome. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, wonderful day. This is a beautiful day. Our God Almighty is made. The masquerades, accomplished Nigerians are here to impact upon the young people, their graces, their wisdom, their visions, their experiences, their mistakes, their scars, their achievements, their know-how. A warm round of applause for everybody. Your Excellency, Mr. Governor, in our usual way, allow me say to us, turn to your left and to your right to welcome our friends seated by you. Tell them compliments of the season. Please know their names, know where they are coming from. You can ask for their ATM cards. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, household name, young barrister, celebrity, public speaker and presenter, the man behind the Big Brother Nigeria, is going to be the moderator for the panel session. Join me, welcome the one and only Ebuka Obi Uchendo. We had our baths, prepared ourselves, taxied our way here, hail and hearty. Your Excellency, permit me, let's honor God as we rise for the opening prayer. Join me as I welcome Pastor Obi Ogbo for the opening prayer. Please.
In the mighty name of Jesus, God Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, the author of life, the giver of all good things, we recognize at the beginning of this program that there is none like you. You are greater than all. You are greater than the greatest. Every gift comes from you. You are the giver of wealth. For no man can receive anything except it be given to him from above. Thank you for making today possible when the older generation, the elders are transferring values, transferring experiences, transferring wealth to the younger ones. Let your blessing be very strong on everything that will happen today. Let everything that will happen here today lead to the progress of Anambra State, lead to the progress of every participant today, lead to the progress, Lord, of Nigeria and the world in a whole. Thank you, precious Father. Thank you for our governor. Thank you for all the executives. Let your name be glorified today. And let all that will happen today lead to very great fruits that in the next many years we'll still be celebrating what happens today. We receive your presence. We receive your hand. We receive your signature over everything that happened here today. Thank you, Father. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And the people say, may I very quickly begin to taxi this event as fast as possible. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite the Chairman CEO Stanel Group to set the tone with a welcome speech. Chief Stanley Izochukwu. One round of applause for him.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, please do permit me to stand on already existing protocol. Today's world is seriously focusing on building an entrepreneurial culture, mostly for young people who are seen as future custodians. Any effort to deliberately create sustainable business owners is seen as an uncommon step towards changing societal narrative. Entrepreneurship is important as it has the ability to change lives, improve standard of living. Entrepreneurship helps to drive change with innovation. Where improved products are produced, especially in the southeastern zone of Nigeria. Your Excellency, the theme of this business summit is Become More. And that is one of the major reasons why we got heavy resource persons here to let most of us seated here right now, Your Excellency, are already successful entrepreneurs. And one of the major reasons why we put up this event is to let them know there is room for us to become more. Your Excellency, I have the privilege of flying one time with the MD, CEO of Access Bank, and he told me how he bought Access Bank in his early 30s. it was worrisome to me, Your Excellency. And after that, when I left Lagos, I realized there was a need for us to become more. I had the privilege one time, one of my senior friends, Dr. Cosmos Maduka, came over to pick me up from the airport, took me around his facilities in Lagos from 7 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And when we were done, I was intimidated and restless. And he looked at me, he said, Stanley, you've done very well as a young man, but I brought you here to let you know that there is still more to become. Hence, one of the reasons why we put up this program. I spoke with the Honorable Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, also spoke with the Honorable Commissioner for Youth Development, and he said this is in line with His Excellency's agenda, developing young people. And we started all of this today, and I'm glad that today, Your Excellency, this is the reality. And this meeting is very strategic because it's coming at the end of the year. I want to trust God that by the time we are done, we are entering the year 2020 with the capacity to become more. Your Excellency, thank you very much, and God bless you.
Another warm round of applause for him, please. You allow me invite our father indeed. We are lucky to have him, who is a professor, commander of the Federal Republic, member of the National Institute, who doubles as the chairman of this occasion to speak to us. Join me, welcome Professor Nnaemeka Achebe, CFR, His Royal Highness, the Obi of Furniture. Celebrate our father.
Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand on existing protocol. I think the first thing to do is to correct any impression that the person who is speaking to you is a professor. He is not a professor. He may be anything else but not a professor. But I thank the Master of Ceremonies for conferring that on me. I'll be very brief because I think we'll have a long day, and I think we'll have resource people to talk to us. But I'd like to start by making the point that in these days, the word youth seems to, in people's mind, connotes something negative, which is very, very awful, which is very, very wrong, and which is a complete misrepresentation of that word. Because if you go through the history of the world, the greatest people and the greatest achievements in the world have been made by people who were maybe under 30 years old and not over 40 years old. So it is the young people, it is the youth who have made the world what it is today, whether it's in IT or in anything else, and so on. In Nigeria, let's look at it. Tony Enahoro moved the motion for Nigeria's independence at the age of what? 26? At the age of 26. He was a member of parliament, and he moved the motion for Nigeria's independence. Obafemi Awolowo was leading as a young man. He was in his 40s. Nnamdi Azikiwe and the rest of them were leading Nigeria. M.T. Mbo, the three youngest in the parliament, they were 21 years old. Matthew Mbo, the late former leader in Rivers State, Melford Okilo, and Mbazilika.
Share their experiences. How much of our learnings have we put into practice? Implementation. A knowledge, a business is just an idea until it is what? Implemented. How do we become more? How?
It is their opportunity. It is their time. And we, the elders, and we who are in authority, anybody who is in a position will have to do something to help the youth to realize their ambition, to realize their destiny, and to continue to contribute to the development of the country and to the well-being of the world, and to stand shoulder to shoulder with their counterparts everywhere else around the world. I was in the US in September on the back of the United Nations meeting, and I was talking to a young lady from California, and we're talking about Nigeria, about our youth. And I said, well, we're trying to push them to catch up with you people in America. He says, no, don't play catch up. You have to do hopscotch, or you have to hopscotch. You have to go straight to exceed us. So it is possible because it's happening everywhere else in the world. And my prayer is that the Nigeria system must provide every opportunity, every space for our youth to realize themselves and to continue to contribute to the development of our country. I welcome all of you, and I wish all of you a very fruitful day. Thank you very much.
Please celebrate His Royal Highness, the Obi of Onitsha, Thank you very much, the chairman of the occasion. With a little addendum of a professor, perhaps spiritually you were one. Let's celebrate him again. Whilst he was speaking, the keynote speaker walked in. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, when the fullness of time is come, we will reel out who he is. But for now, join me welcome Engineer Emeka Okwota. He's already seated. One round of applause for him. Becoming more, access more with Stanel Group. A marriage between Access Bank, Stanel Group, and Anambra State Government. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me welcome the representative of the Managing Director, Access Bank, the Executive Director, for their remarks. Celebrate him, please.
Good morning, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, a man I know quite well, a senior colleague, the amiable Obi of Onitsha, I want to recognize Mrs. Etieba and Professor Pat Utomi. And I will also now stand on existing protocols. My name is Victor Ituoku. I'm Executive Director for Access Bank. And I'm here to represent Dr. Herbert Wigwe, Group Managing Director for Access Bank Group, who today is unable to join us because he has some regulatory engagements to attend to. In our industry, when the regulator calls, you jump. You drop everything else and go and answer to your regulator. And so Herbert is unavoidably absent, and he sends his apologies. But Herbert would have loved to be here because this is exactly the kind of things that interest him. He is keen on human development, especially youth development. And I think he found something exciting in Stanel Group. And he decided that Access Bank must work and support this group in doing something in this state. I think not many people will know the full story of Access Bank. But I think it's better told by Herbert and maybe Iboje. So I will not attempt to do a lot much of that. But I would say that Herbert is very glad with the pace of development in Anambra State and with the activities of His Excellency over the last 4 or 5 years. And so he truly wants Access Bank to work with the state in any way shape, or form to aid the innovation and the strides being taken in this state. And that's why we are part of what's going on this morning. In Access Bank, we believe that banking should not be traditional. Banking should not stick to the old norms. And that's why we have a theme, part of our taglines, access more. Because the bank should be more to individuals. The bank should be more to society. The bank should be more. The bank should not only be involved in financial transactions, the bank should be involved in human capacity development. And we feel that that is what we want to keep driving now, going forward, as we aim to improve and increase ourselves in the communities that we serve. As we all know, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, two young men, Agboje and Herbert, walked into a very small bank in those days, what we call a fourth division player. You know, there are several divisions in football. There's the Premier League, there's the first division, second and third and fourth. In 2002, Access Bank was in what we call the fourth division of the Nigerian Banking League. We're a tiny bank, and they went in there, and then the first thing they did was to assemble a crop of professionals to manage the bank with them. That's where some of us joined in that activity. 16 years down the line, Access Bank is currently Nigeria's biggest bank. By almost everything. If you look at 5 indices, 3 of the 5 indices, Access Bank is number 1. We are not just a Nigerian bank, we are a global bank. And one of the things we said to ourselves 16 years ago was we wanted, I was in Citibank then, and when I was called by I, they said, look, what are you doing in Citibank? It's a foreign bank. Let's come home and build a local bank into a global bank. And that was the only thing he said to me that moved me, because at that time it was clearly inconceivable to leave Citibank Nigeria for Access Bank. But I left. And today we are all glad that we did, because our dreams are coming true, but not without hard work and without certain values and principles that we hold dear. So today, I will just leave you with 4 things that he said I should talk about. 4. And we'll call it some of principles that encourage us and that we work with. The first is the power of choice. We choose who we are, and we choose who we become. As we talk to young entrepreneurs here, they have to understand that the power of choice is in their hands, and they choose who they will be and what they will become. Very important. Very important. Because the choices we make today will determine who we are tomorrow. The second is the power of value. The power of value. We choose our values, and the values that we live by determine how we operate daily and determine the decisions that we take in business and in personal life. When we come to the point of dilemma, a junction, your values are your moral compass that tell you whether to go right or left, good or bad. Values are key. If you want to build to last, you have to have values that you live by. The third is the power of positivity. You have to be positive, because as you set out in life, the world by default is naturally not in your favor. Things don't naturally work in people's favor. And so you have to have a mind that is positive. Approach the issues head on. Do not shy away from problems, because problems always are opportunities for growth and for greatness. And so you have to be always positive. And the fourth is you have to create value. You have to create value. Value is what people buy. So whether you are a small company or a big company, value is what people buy. Value is what you create as somebody is ready to invest in or to pay for. No matter how creative you are, if you don't solve a problem, you don't make money. You have to create value. Value is what people are ready to invest in. Value is what people are ready to pay for. And maybe the very last thing I also want to mention here is something I call the power of self-management. You know, permit me, today people talk about time management as one of the problems that we have in this part of the world. But it's not really an issue of time management. It's a problem of self-management. If we manage ourselves better, it's the problem of self-discipline, self-management, ability to self-develop. And no matter who you are, you can only go as far as you are disciplined. You can only go as far as you know. So knowledge is not only financial, it's not only moral, it's not only, but we need to have self-management. That will determine how far we go. The limits that we go is determined mainly by our weaknesses. They are what stops us from going as far as we hope to go. So self-discipline is very, very essential. So five things that Herbert wants me to pass across. The value of choice, the need to create value always, the value of productivity, and the value of self-development. And I hope that with that, let me just close by saying that Access Bank is proud to be associated with this workshop today. And we are hoping that this will not be the last or the first. This can only be the first and not the last. We are hoping that this continues, and this becomes a spark that we need in this part of the country to do new things. And we begin to hear from now the things that happen because people came to this event and heard people talk. Thank you very much, and I wish you the very best of the day.
Please, another one round of applause for Access Bank. Your Excellency, the Amiable Governor of Anambra State, the chairman of the occasion, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have in our midst a great Nigerian who is a registered engineer, an accomplished entrepreneur, a visionary. He is a member in Stock Directors, member Nigerian Gas Association, member Society of Petroleum Engineers, member Nigerian Society of Engineers, member Pipeline Professional Association of Nigeria, member Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, member Society of Professional Well Log Analysts. 2015 Lifetime Achievement Award by the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETN. Awarded International Socrates Award UK 2016. National Productivity Order of Merit Award by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari 2017. Investor of the Year Award by Sun Newspaper 2017. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have a seasoned engineer, an administrator, an entrepreneur, a visionary with 36 years of experience in engineering in all the following areas: maintenance and operations, teaching, wireline, login and interpretation, seismic acquisition, processing and interpretation, pipeline engineering, procurement and construction. He's a man of many parts, been around the world all through the years, worked with Schlumberger as field engineer to technical manager in the following parts of the world: Europe, North Africa, West Africa, the Gulf of Guinea, across the globe, even to Indonesia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me welcome for the keynote address Our amiable son of the soil, a great man, even celebrated at home, celebrated more outside home, Dr. Engineer Emeka Okwasa. One round of applause for him.
I'll start by observing the protocols. Your Excellency, Chief Dr. Willie Obiano, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, His Royal Majesty, Alfred Achebe Obi of Onitsha, Your Excellency, Dame Virgie Etiaba, the former governor of Anambra State. Mr. Herbert Wigwe, ably represented today, is the MDCO of Access Bank. Mrs. Uju Ifejika, the CEO of Britannia U. My brother, Dr. Pat Utomi, seated here with us. Professor Lillian Orobu, the HOD Business Administration UNIZIC. I am not sure that I've gotten it entirely right, but I can always blame it on my assistants if I got it wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, when Dr. Stanley Uzochukwu mentioned to me about this event, I wasn't pretty sure the full theme and the purpose, but one thing I was very sure about at the time was that the individual, Stanley, I've known for a few years, will only associate himself with things that are meaningful. When I went further into understanding, trying to understand what the event is all about, I felt even more elated, and I felt even more, had more respect for his thoughts, because this is what I believe in as a person, which is about building capacity, developing young people, and being able to make a difference. And making a difference starts with the young ones, because whether we like it or not, a few years to come, a few decades, some of us will not be standing here talking. Young people who are sitting all over here will be the ones driving the system and driving the country. If we fail to invest in the young people, then we fail to invest in ourselves and in our system. I will read partly from my speech, but I will elaborate also on particular issues. I truly feel honored to be in the midst of this great and distinguished audience. It gives me great pleasure and a true sense of commitment and patriotism to be invited to deliver the keynote address on a subject of very critical value to an audience that I feel truly at home with. It gives me the privilege to share my experiences with some of the Nigerian finest entrepreneurs, corporate giants, businessmen and women, and the general audience. I am honored and sincerely thank the convener, the chairman of Stanel Group, Stanley Uzochukwu, for the opportunity. Let me elaborate here also. The fact that the executive governor of Anambra State, with the tight schedule he has, is sitting here today to honor this, sends a message. And the message is that he believes in what is going on here today. He believes in building capacity amongst the young ones, and he believes in development of Anambra State. The theme of our discussion today centers around success. Success can be defined in various ways. A few of the definitions that elaborate success are the achieving of results wanted or hoped for. The second is accomplishment of an aim or purpose. The third is the achievement of a high position in a particular field, for example, in politics or business. It is nearly impossible to define success in one sentence. However, it is important to note that success is not to be confused with what amounts to speed of success, two different issues. In some cases, success comes at a quicker pace, and in others, it may come more slowly. In addition, success can be achieved after several attempts. What is important is accomplishment of set goals that are generally measurable one way or the other. But the following key components of success we need to take note of. One is patience. The second is resilience. And associated with resilience is tenacity. And then, of course, faith. Before I continue, I want to use this opportunity once again to thank the convener, chairman of Stanel Group, Stanley Uzochukwu. He's an entrepreneur, investor, industrialist, and a philanthropist, to say the least. Born to the family of Mr. and Mrs. Bartholomew Uzochukwu in Calabar more than 35 years ago, and he hails from the Nnewi South local government in Anambra State. Though he spent his early days and life in Jos Plateau State, he later moved into Anambra State to make a difference. He's been passionate in business and driven by zeal to succeed. He ventured into sale of diesel and petroleum products. Then he marketed these to corporate organizations until about 2012, when Stanel Oil was born. He has since grown his business to the extent that he has acquired Chicken Republic franchise, covering the entire southeast region of Nigeria, employing upwards of 700 youths. We are aware that in July 2017, His Excellency, the Anambra State Governor, Willie Obiano, commissioned his ultra-modern luxury mega center, the Stanel World, where we are. His 1.5 billion naira capacity mega plant, gas plant, commissioned in 2017, we know about that. He has also built up his brand, and he has notably products like Stanel tires, Stanel engine oil, Stanel gas cylinders, and a lot. Now, let me state here that he has demonstrated great entrepreneurial zeal and capacity, and it's a key example of the theme of this event. It's a very good example to the youth on how best to progress. I am sure that he's in a better position to narrate his beautiful story than I can attempt. I believe I have only tried to skate the surface. So Stanley, congratulations for bringing us here. Let me state that before I progress, I want to make sure I lay the foundation for what I want to talk about. I can talk about myself and try to make us understand what made me to be where I am today and how my journey moved. But I have to lay the foundations, because the foundation of success, in my opinion, looking at it in a certain framework, is built on a few issues. You have to accommodate the principle and ethos of entrepreneurship. You have to look at the effect of infrastructure, availability of it, or absence of it. And then you have to look at human capacity development, because you cannot talk about development without looking at human capacity building. And that's where sometimes we get it wrong in our societies. If we do not deliberately build up human capacity, we have destined ourselves to fail. Entrepreneur can be defined in many ways, but one thing that is obvious about entrepreneurship is that it comes from a basic principle of creative destruction. And what do I mean by creative destruction? You come into a system, you see an existing activity or opportunity. I say an example, people have been going to Europe in the 20s and the 30s by entering an ocean liner, a ship, and they sail for months to get to, say, America. But sometime someone figured out you can fly. And when the Wright brothers did what they did by making sure that the idea of flight could be developed, of course, we've progressed from then. Time went on when people could invest in airliners to be able to take people from here to Los Angeles. If you're flying directly, definitely in less than 24 hours. Whereas previously it would have taken months to do that. What have you achieved? You have actually done creative destruction of a system by providing a better alternative of how to get going. That is entrepreneurship. If you look at a few people that have made a difference, I take a few. For those of us who are familiar with science, you remember Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, who was a forerunner to General Electric you hear about today, developed the incandescent lamp. And the principle is simple. By taking a filament and then you pass electricity through it, you generate heat, and the heat generates light. But of course, it's not that easy, because when you generate heat and light, you have oxygen around. What happens is that you destroy the same filament instantly. How do you make sure it keeps lighting all the time? You have to enclose it and put inert gas inside there to preserve the filament. When you do that, you're able to continuously provide light through the light bulbs of the old, not these LEDs you see today. That created a basis for serious entrepreneurship, because by developing that, he was able to build a big business around it. Today, we've moved on from incandescent light, we've gone to fluorescent lamps. Today, we are talking of light-emitting diodes. Some of you will remember, if you know about Andrew Carnegie, you cannot talk about American Industrial Revolution without Andrew Carnegie. He was the father of steel, and he made steel available that changed America forever. Here, we remember Sir Louis Odumegwu. Some of you here know about Ikemba Nnewi, Chief Emeka Odumegwu, a great man. May his soul rest in peace. But a lot of us don't remember his father. His father did what was impossible. You read his history and you try to know this history, you will never know that this man passed on away from this world less than 60 years old. But he made all the difference. He was the richest man existing in Nigeria. He was one person that the British Empire gave the order of British Empire when he was possibly in his late 40s. You may wish to know that the story goes that when the Queen of England, the current Queen, visited Nigeria for the first time, following her coronation, it was his car, his Mercedes-Benz car, that was loaned to Nigeria to take care of her movement. So, if you look at that, you know that entrepreneurship has been here for a very long time. But today, some people don't remember what he has done in the lives of people in Nigeria. I can mention one person again who is alive today. Quite a few of us. Innocent Chukuma, the chairman of Innocent. You all know him. From humble beginnings to trading in spare parts, today he actually manufactures cars. And some of you may not know, it's not assembly of cars. He manufactures the cars from the bodies to the engines to everything. He does all those. You need to go to his factory and see. And as we speak, we are setting up a system that will enable us squarely locate his products in the oil and gas industry. Before end of February, I'm saying this, he may not even know it yet. Before end of February, we will create a cooperation between him and the local content phenomenon in the oil and gas industry. Because we use a lot of vehicles. There are some projects we get into, a single project we may need 500 pickups to be able to execute these projects. Why should we be buying these from outside the country? And of course, I thank His Excellency here because I wish to say it clearly. A few months after he was sworn in, I had a word with him. Then there was this rumor that Anambra State government would be buying Toyota vehicles. And I spoke to His Excellency. I said, is this true? He said, no, that is not true. And you will recollect and know that from inception till today, Anambra State government has been patronizing Innocent. That is the way we have to act in order to help build up ourselves. You look at infrastructure, in more practical terms, it's regarded as basic essential services put in place by practitioners to enable development to occur. It is important that economic growth and development of Nigeria, it should be known that it can be accelerated and facilitated by the provision of an articulated infrastructure framework that will contribute to improving the quality of life by creating amenities, providing consumption goods in the areas of energy, transport, communication services, and in all other facets of macroeconomic stability. If you look at Nigeria, we are not doing very well in infrastructural development. If you look at the World Economic Forum of 2017, the report, Nigeria is ranked as follows. Out of 137 countries, roads quality, 127. Airport quality, 125. Electricity supply, 132. 132 out of 137. Education, 120. Math and science that drives innovation, 118. Innovation itself, 112. Let me tell you why I'm mentioning this. It doesn't mean that we are dumb. Most young people here are very sharp and smart. Nothing has changed much in our DNA. When we went to school, we knew what we encountered. It was a different situation. The opportunities were different. Of course, we had challenges. But the environment and the educational quality was different. Over years, the system has evolved negatively to the extent that we have all these indices pointing downwards. If we do not quickly act decisively to reverse this, our future will be bleak. All this can be reversed. But I want you to know one thing also, that by being at the bottom of the ladder, what does it show? Because this is the flip side of it. It shows you that there is a great opportunity to be derived by trying to reverse this. Great opportunity in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of business opportunities, in terms of growth of the economy to be able to achieve this. So it is not all negative. I wish to state here that availability of required infrastructure certainly aids success in our business endeavors. However, on the flip side, we must recognize that lack of key infrastructure also presents opportunities for creative entrepreneurial responses that has potential to lead to success. And that's what I just said. If you move forward and go into human capacity building, you will know that we have to continuously act to change our lot. But to remedy the situation, we look at certain ways and certain things we have to put in place. The objectives and strategies should be clearly to ensure quality universal education for children and youth, to develop incentive programs to encourage private sector and state investment in modern technical and vocational educational institutes, to revive and aggressively support new post-secondary school, trade centers, and technical schools, to increase the number of youth and adults with the skills required to secure employment and or become entrepreneurs, to improve teachers' quality, to review and restructure education curriculum, to develop and promote ICT's curriculum, to encourage and ensure a regular oversight through statutory visits and monitoring of the universities and institutions. On this note, and having laid this background, let me tell you a little story about myself. Because my story will make you put all this I've said in perspective. I am from Orifite in Ekusigo local government in Anambra State. I hope this doesn't send any signal with what has been happening in the past couple of weeks. Orifite is a very, very peaceful town, a town that is, in a way, laid back, that is known for education and excellence. I attended Orifite Grammar School purely by providence because I was born in Jos, but the war made everybody to come back, and as a little kid, we all came back to Orifite, and then coming back to Orifite, that was when I started school. So during the war, we were just pretending to be going to school, but it made a difference because by end of the war, by 1970, I was promoted to elementary 3. And the rest is history. I attended what you today call Bafemi Awolowo University, but it was University of Ife when I went in there. Studied electrical electronics engineering. I started my work with Nigerian breweries as a trainee manager, and then went on to join Schlumberger. Schlumberger took me all over the world. I started in Pau, France. I went into Libya. Libya then is not Libya you hear about today. Libya was different. Then I came into West Africa, and I ran the operations of Schlumberger from Benin Republic to Mauritania. And then turned around and ran it through Gulf of Guinea, from Cameroon, Gabon, all the way down to Congo, Brazzaville. Then, of course, I went into Angola. I was in Soyo, and I developed some tools there that we used for logging. From there, I moved on down the road to be posted to Scotland to be a tutor in the training school there in Livingston, Scotland. And then, of course, just before that, I had a stint in Nigeria, briefly, as a Tenko manager. And then I moved on to Indonesia, from where I left to come to Nigeria. Where did I leave to come to Nigeria? I came into Nigeria at the toughest point at that point. It was 1993, when Nigeria was tottering. We had the Abiola saga at that point in time. Pro-democracy, the country was seen to be falling apart. And I remember my manager who came in and clearly was saying, "Are you crazy? You have a young family. Why are you leaving to come to Nigeria that is falling apart?" I said, "Look, this is my country. I am coming in there. I believe I have work to do." Of course, it wasn't easy. When I came in, within a few months, General Abacha took over government. And of course, that disrupted the entire process because all the investments were shut down by the foreign financiers. It took another 2 years to get out of it. But at the end of it all, I ended up setting up Oilscan, the first indigenous wireline logging company, to challenge Schlumberger, set up OilServe, the first fully EPC. EPC is engineering, procurement, and construction company in pipelines and facilities. Prior to then, all you had were welders and small companies that did a few construction here and there, but none designed and went all the way to operations and maintenance. Now, why did I get to do this? I believed in myself, and I knew that I could make a difference. That difference has led me to being in position today to have built the largest pipeline system in Nigeria, 48-inch diameter OB3 pipeline that has a capacity to move 2 billion standard cubic feet of gas, the largest in Africa. As we speak, we are just kicking off the Ajokuta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline, which is the longest gas transmission pipeline to be built in Nigeria, 40 inches. This project has no equal in Africa in terms of length of a gas pipeline, and it's a project that has a budget of close to $3 billion. So for that to be existing in Nigeria it's never happened before. But what is important is that if you look into OISAF that I'm running today, 100% Nigerians, no foreign face there. Now, I am not saying this to beat my chest. I'm saying this to encourage the young ones. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened on the basis that I believed in myself. I continued to work hard. And then, if you have also the right attitude, which is what we call in the oil industry, service company attitude, you'll be able to be humble in what you do. What we lack a lot in Nigeria today is humility. See a few people, they get a little bit of money and they're all over the place and they're making noise. Instead of deploying this money to help young people. As I speak today, we have many people on scholarship. I run my foundation, Sayemeko was a foundation. I have people on scholarship both in Nigeria and overseas. More than 500 persons have passed through this scholarship system in the past 15 years. We also provide a lot of infrastructural facilities. In Orifite, we built roads, we built community halls, we built water systems that we reticulated. In fact, one of those roads, His Excellency is a witness here. He was the one who more or less flagged it off. And many years, 6 years after it was built, it's still solid and it's moving. But let me say this, that in order to try and conclude, because I can see somebody's already waving me, but don't forget, you told me to give a keynote speech, so you should give me. Come again? Oh, okay. Okay, Your Excellency, I take note of that. So the message is clear. I'm going to conclude. What is clear is that my story shows that you can become what you want to be if you imbibe some distinct qualities and processes. I give you these. One is believe in yourself. Number two, never allow challenges to deter you. Number three, show resilience and tenacity in pursuing your goals. Number four, acquire necessary skills, particularly education, whether formal or informal. Maintain very high integrity in your dealings and business. Maintain good balance between your hard work and physical situation. Because if you are not physically okay, your health is not okay, you can't do very much. Show compassion and love to the less privileged while making sure that your mode of help is important, does not create laziness in people being helped. You teach people how to fish and not necessarily keep giving them fish all the time if you want them to develop. Finally, and most importantly to me, as a person in what I believe in, is to trust in the Almighty God and imbibe wholeheartedly and genuinely in the teachings of our Lord Jesus. Thank you very much.
Please celebrate this great Nigerian. Celebrate him again. Another warm round of applause. Courage, tenacity, focus, vision, capacity built over time. Celebrated more even outside Nigeria. Dr. Stanley Petrochemical told me a story about him. Their journey to Abidjan, to Cote d'Ivoire, to Ghana, and the way they were received presidentially. When I grow up, I want to be like you, sir. Another one round of applause for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to Anambra State. The last stanza of the anthem, Anambra State anthem, says, "Lift the spirit of Anambra State with love." And it was made possible by the man I'm about to introduce. If you do not have an enabling environment, investments will not thrive. There is a man who came here with a vision to make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, in Anambra State today, security is everywhere. Anambra State has been adjudged the best state in security in Nigeria. Not by us, not by His Excellency, but by the security agencies in the country. Anambra State cushioned the effect of recession when we had it in Nigeria. The man I'm talking about made it possible. Agriculture was thriving. Today, Anambra State exports ogo, that is pumpkin leaf, exports onubu, that is bitter leaf. Anambra State is rice sufficient. It is because of the enabling environment that this man created. In Anambra State today, in the night, you drive without your headlamps on because there's light everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has given everybody a say in the governance of Anambra State, including women. Remember that in Nigeria, women were craving for 35% affirmation. But today, Anambra State has surpassed 50%. Women are there in our governance. Ladies and gentlemen, even the less privileged, that is, the physically challenged, are giving a place, the pride of place in this government made possible by this man. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to waste your time, but I want to say that Anambra State is good today because of this man. He came here and became what we needed. Remember, people were running away from this state, a pariah state. Nobody comes here. But today, look at Stanel. If not for this government, Stanley Petrochemical will not be here. There will be no Stanel world. Your Excellency, we are saying thank you. And I want the world to hear that Anambra State is moving and nothing shall prevail against it. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome the game changer, the man of the moment, Odogwu Mambala, Otumba Atayashe of Ekiti land, Are Amogun of Ado Ekiti, Abokodike Global. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Chief Willie Madabro Chukwuobiano. Call him Abokodike.
Your Excellency, the former governor of Anambra State, Dem Vejie Tiaba, the Chancellor Ahmadu Bello University, and the head of the traditional rulers, the whole of Southeast, our own Abogidi, the Obi of Furniture, is here. Your Honor, the Commissioner for Youth and Creative Economy, Afambanefo, Your Honor, Commissioner for Culture, Diaspora Affairs, Indigenous Arts, and what have you, very long title, Salim Banefo, you know. I must recognize a very good friend of mine, the MD of Oil Serve, Emeka Okwosa. He's a very humble guy. He didn't tell you much about himself. He just gave you a pinch of salt. He's far than he told you. I must recognize a good friend of mine that I met in the villa, Stanley Petrochemical. I met him in the villa. He tapped my shoulder and said, "I'm from Anambra State." And I invited him over to my hotel room for a drink. We stayed there for about 30 minutes, and I was very impressed about what he was doing then and the plans he had. I encouraged him to come over to Anambra State to do that investment instead of going to Jos. I'm sure most of you that know him will know his link with Jos, you know, and he did come. He came, he saw, and I believe he conquered, you know. Not only that we made it possible for him to be in this environment, we are now, because of what he did here, we gave him an additional opportunity at Ozobol, where he's doing a fantastic work. He wants to set up the biggest in Nigeria, where they will rear special breeds of cow. From there, produce milk, produce yogurts, you know, package the beef in a special way and export them. I'm always interested in export so that he can earn foreign exchange, you know. So Stanel is a great guy. I used to call him, each time I want to address him, I say, "You are youthfulness." That's a title he gets. You are youthfulness. Then you put the other names, you know. So your youthfulness, I'm happy to be at this event to speak to the youths and to also to declare it open. I want to also recognize a good friend of mine, the Patito Gang, Professor Pat Utomi, very good friend and very nice and amiable fellow. I won't say much about Pat. You'll see him perform here. Uju is also here, our own Uju Ibeze. I recognize you. The senior advocate of Nigeria is here, Emeka Etiaba. I used to call him, I said his own son, S-A-N, the senior GFA of Nigeria. You know, I can see a lot of my friends, colleagues, staff here. You're welcome. This topic is very important. 2 weeks ago, we had almost a similar session, a roundtable where we discussed beyond infrastructure. The truth, ladies and gentlemen, is that what made us rich the last century is not going to make us rich this century. It's very important. And don't be deceived. When they say the youth are the future leaders, I do not agree. You are the leaders right now. All you need to do is to get prepared. You should know where the world is headed. That's why in Anambra State, we're revising the school curricula to reflect from SS1 through SS3, give them materials that will enable them write Microsoft exam at school start level and live with it, you know. That will go a long way in making them very useful and important people in the society. The era of what most of us are doing, I mean, some of our seasoned business people will not last. If you recall, many years ago, our people are used to Ansons Limited. And when they die, for your information, that business dies. Most of them are still not learning the lessons, and we are working hard. I have a department in the Ministry of Finance who on a continuous basis educate all these are rich people that are not seeing far. I'll give you an example. I asked somebody, look, if you drop dead today, this business that you are famous in will die. He said, no, he cannot die. He employed so many Indians working for him. That was his comfort, that Indians are working for him. He forgets that those Indians can be sent home overnight by the wife if the man is late, you know. So we keep trying to push them into capital market because, quite honestly, the Yorubas have done well in that area, better than the Igbos, you know, and that's the way to go. So I must encourage the youths to imbibe this culture of course, ICT, this culture of creative economy, you know, culture of artificial intelligence. That is where the world is headed. And if we do so, by the way, Anambra has the best, the most brilliant set of youths you can meet anywhere in the world. You know, anywhere in the world. You know, and we need to channel those energy and direct them in a manner that makes sense. You need to apply what you've learned. You know, people say knowledge is power. Is that not what they say? But that's not true. Knowledge is not power. What is power is knowledge utilized. Knowledge utilized. From today, learn it. Knowledge is not power. If you have the knowledge, so you must apply the knowledge so that it can become power. You know, so I like this section and this program that Stanel is doing. Despite a very tight schedule I have today, I told him that I will attend this event and talk to the youths a bit, you know. So I really will encourage you. When the Commissioner for Youths and the Creative Economy speaks, you will see the portal that we have opened for yourselves. You know, we want to guide you accordingly. It's not only for people that are in the secondary school, even those that are graduated, that are lawyers, accountants, whatever you are, you know, we can guide you aright to imbibe the new culture and go to where the world is headed. And in a very short time, you start making money from home. You can make money from home, you know. I always seize the opportunity when I address you to warn them about drugs. Please stay out of drugs. That will destroy you, I tell you that. Drugs will do what? Yeah. Stay out of it. Avoid this cultism, bravado, you know, all those kind of life. It's not going to lead you anywhere. It's leading you straight to hell on earth. You know. So you go to two hells, one on earth, one over there. You know. You know. So I really will encourage you to listen carefully to the discussants and jot down points that are being made. It will go a long way in helping you. Bear in mind, I repeat, what made us rich the last century is not going to make us rich this century. Except there's a paradigm shift, very serious paradigm shift, you know, starting with the curricula in schools that will emphasize where the world is headed. It will be difficult to compete outside your environment, you know. So you listen to this discussant very well. And I'll see this opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. For the people visiting outside, coming into Anambra, please enjoy the peace and tranquility we have here. Try and have fun. We have great places you can go to. Club Road, I've been there once. Club Road. Go to Club Road. You know, the problem of being a governor is that you are in prison. That's where you are. So you don't have time to. You know, Club Road, I encourage the young ones, visit that place. It's a nice place to go. We also have Obunike Cave. We have decorated that place very well. And the steps there is very user-friendly now. Then the best of all them all is Owere Zukala, where you have the waterfall, you know, as if you know the Zambian waterfall, that's what it looks like, you know, and it's all year round, you know. So I encourage you to do all those stuff and have fun, stay out of trouble, and God bless you. On this note, I declare the Access Stanel, put together by Access Bank, Stanel Group, and Anambra State Government open. Thank you.
Celebrate His Excellency. May we rise. A man of class with panache, with depth, changing the state. Another one round of applause for him. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, you may wish to know that His Excellency is a busy man, and we will permit him to allow us breach protocol and continue the occasion when he's gone. But let's celebrate him again with another warm round of applause. Young people, may we have our seats? His Excellency is at this point now. Let's celebrate him as he takes his leave. The program continues. He's permitted that we go ahead with the program. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you may jot down your questions. And when the time is come, we invite the speakers to answer to your questions. Very, very quickly, it took us time. Very busy man with great questions. We're running against time, but he's agreed to wait to speak to the young people. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Professor Pat Utomi. Get your pens, get your notepads, take notes, ask questions. He's a very practical person. Your Excellency, we can't thank you enough for staying behind.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be more brief. I would have been brief, but I'm going to be more brief than I was going to be because time has been fairly badly spent, I must admit. I say badly spent because one of our biggest challenges, our friend from Access Bank said, is not time management, but personal management. It's also time management, and part of the problem of time management is protocol. I try to avoid events that government officials attend because it wastes time. I'll be very honest with you. At the Lagos Business School, when we were starting, I insisted that we should not invite government officials to events. And my colleagues quarreled about it and said, no. The first event, public event, the then finance minister was a good friend of ours, Anthony Ani. Said, this is our friend, this private sector, nothing. I said, please, can we focus on what we're doing? Leave government people out of it. Event was 7 o'clock. Our tradition was we'll start promptly any event. At 7 o'clock, we did not see the finance minister. At 8 o'clock, he had not come. At 8:45, a permanent secretary stumbled in and said he was on his way somewhere and was called to go and represent the finance minister. At that point in time, none of my colleagues could look me in the face because I had warned. And I think there's a place for everything. There's a place for government officials. But I would have enjoyed talking or sharing ideas with you before they came and leaving to go and do useful things. Now, I can only manage to say a few things to you in a few minutes. But I was going to say, well, I have a flight to catch, unfortunately. That a caveat to open this conversation. In 1985, there was a conference in Nairobi. It was sponsored by the Aga Khan Foundation. It was designed to look at development, what brings development about. And that conference focused on what is called a tripartite approach to development. That tripartite approach suggested that real development takes place where there is a coordination of the activities of a private sector, a wealth-creating private sector, a public sector that essentially works on an enabling environment for value creation, and PDAs, as they were called then, private development agencies, the so-called NGO sector. That conference resulted in what became the Enabling Environment Forum in Nigeria, and ultimately what is now the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. One of the challenges that I find most times is that we have not managed to think this through in terms of the way that we encourage venturing. I have had a fairly unique privilege in being able to operate in all of these sectors. I've had the good fortune of being in the private sector. In fact, when Abogidi was referred to as professor, and he had to recant, he could have been much more than a professor. As a 21-year-old graduate, we used to come to visit with him. He was then, the role model, senior manager in Shell. And we visited, he was still a bachelor in those days. We helped him find a wife. We used to visit with him. And, he was so knowledgeable, and we thought, okay, after doing what he'll do in Shell, he'll go and become a professor. But he chose to become Igwe. So it's a different trajectory. But the day that I was appointed managing director, I was asked to manage Volkswagen of Nigeria, I was driving home. My family was abroad. I'd been on a foreign post. I didn't know where to go, so I drove into his house in Ikoyi, and we were chatting about this. So I've had a private sector track. I've had a public sector track. As you know, I had the good fortune of being an advisor to the president of this country at age 27. I have a track in academia, and I've had a very deep track in civil society. Unless all of these are harnessed effectively, you won't have the humility to understand what creates wealth. The great private sector person who has built a great enterprise, understandably, will talk bombastically about how he did this and did that. That's wonderful. It's helpful. It's good to know those things. But perhaps missing is a plug from public sector play. The biggest risk in doing business in Nigeria is regulatory risk. The government is the biggest danger to entrepreneurial development in this country. And let me tell you what has even gotten worse. Because government is repeatedly a danger to business development. I'm involved in 2 different cases, in 2 different states. One in Ogun State. A venture we had started, invested hundreds of millions of naira, and a new governor comes and suddenly stops what the old governor approved. Right now it's happening in Enugu State. And this is a disgrace that Igbo people should learn to overcome. And these things continue to happen. And you ask, why are the investors not coming? They do not come because government is a disenabler in many ways. In 1998, I wrote a book titled Managing Uncertainty, Competition and Strategy in Emerging Economies. And I took a framework for competitive strategy, famously identified with Michael Porter. But if you go to structural economics, there's a paradigm called the structure, conduct, performance paradigm. That paradigm essentially looks at structural forces that lead to business performance. And I said, the so-called Porter Diamond cannot play in Nigeria because one government official can talk to another in the night and the environment changes the next day. So, a challenge is in building institutions that will manage what I call the predatory acts of public officials. How do we build institutions that can help us set the boundaries that prevent this kind of environment? And so, if you don't have an understanding of the nature of public sector play, you may just be overexcited about what you have accomplished as an entrepreneur, knowing that there are people who could have done much more and just one signature altered the whole environment. So, what do we need to share with young people in the environment of business? Very quickly, passion is very important. The most successful entrepreneurs are not successful because they want to make money. They're successful because they want to change the world. And in working to change the world, they create value that lets them have more money than they know what to do with. But if you are driven by money, make money, you will be challenged in many ways because what is driving you is money. And you might take shortcuts that will not be sustainable. They might make you seem like you are rich today, but tomorrow you have a challenge. Let's take the example of the point I've made about the predatory acts of public officials. To manage that, what most quote-unquote successful business people are now doing is to attempt regulatory capture. If you look at today in Nigeria, the Access Bank folks have left. If you are going to succeed in banking, one of the things you struggle to do is capture the regulator. So you make sure you are responsible for who is governor of central bank. You're in that sector. So regulatory capture creates a brand new risk in our country. It may enable you as the businessman of today to make a lot of money because you have that capture, but it reduces the possibilities of what Michael Questa talked about, which is creative destruction. There is one of my favorite Indians alive today is a man called Raghuram Rajan. Rajan just finished serving as governor of the Reserve Bank of India, the Central Bank of India. In fact, the rumors that they're trying to attract him to be Bank of England governor. He was chief economist at the IMF. But before Raghu Rajan went back, he and a colleague at the University of Chicago Graduate School of Business wrote a book titled Saving Capitalism from the Capitalists. The most dangerous people to capitalist advance are today's successful capitalists. Because they are trying to shut the gates against everybody. And they are the ones who have got lunch with the governor and the this. Their actions prevent the next generation of success, which is going to come from a young person who has no godfather, who has no access, but has a great idea. The one country in the world that has the best institutions that allow that possibility is the United States of America. And so the book, Saving Capitalism from the Capitalists, talks about how a young man, for example, like Bill Gates, can break through after so much struggle, standing at the gates of one IBM vice president to talk to him and get away, you this boy, get away. And one day he breaks through. 10 years later, Microsoft has a higher market capitalization than IBM. That is what really leads to growth of entrepreneurship. I wish I had more time. I would have liked to sit with you, talk through some of these things, how you can approach it. Professor Orogbu was speaking about something I said yesterday. I mean, coming out of the airport in Asaba, took us nearly 3.5 hours to get to the Niger Bridge. For years I've said, look, there's a simple entrepreneurial venture waiting to be captured here. When December is approaching, set up a ferry somewhere there. For 5,000 naira, you move people across, come out somewhere near maybe the Trinity Basilica, and drive from there. People will be very pleased to pay 5,000 naira and be ferried across with their car than to spend 5 hours trying to get to the bridge. So what is entrepreneurship really? It's about solving problems and getting value for the problem that you have solved. And there are opportunities every which way you look for problems to be solved. The thing is to put this in a process. In one of my books, I talk about the entrepreneurial process as essentially taking you from opportunity identification through commercialization of a venture to essentially institutionalization of the venture. How do you identify opportunities? Like I said, they're everywhere. But how do you commercialize it and make it sustainable? All of you have it in you to create great ventures. And if you make the effort, you have the discipline, because about discipline. If you have the discipline to stay the course, you will fail, just keep getting up. The Japanese define entrepreneurship as the man who falls 7 times and gets up 8 times. May you get up many times. Thank you. God bless you all.
Another warm round of applause for him. Very quickly, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring up on stage Barrister Uju Ifejika. Warm round of applause for her. CEO Britannia U. Warm round of applause for her again. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Barrister Uju Ifejika. Warm round of applause for her.
What do you want me to say? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Our Royal Father, the Royal Majesty, Igwe Alfred Nemeka Achebe, the Obi of Furniture. All other protocol duly observed. I'm sorry we've kept all of you here past 1, almost 2 o'clock, with nothing to eat. That's part of entrepreneurship. So you're learning how to be tough in shark-infested waters that you're getting yourself into. The good thing about entrepreneurship is that you don't get into it because others are going into it. You must first of all understand who you are. And nobody will tell you that. Don't ever look up to anybody to tell you what you're capable of doing. No. God created you uniquely. And that uniqueness is within you. But the problem is that you have to, on your own, discover who you are. And when you discover who you are, your vision that you are born with might be to be just a carpenter or a mechanic. But the difference there is that if he's a mechanic, when others are looking for software or to check the status of an engine or what is wrong with the engine, but yours is that when anybody starts the engine of a vehicle, you listen to the sound. You will identify the exact thing that is wrong with that. That is the vision you are born with. But most people, if you say that you want to be a mechanic, they say, huh? To be under an engine motor, under the motor. What are you going to be a mechanic for? When you can go and be an oil magnet. Everybody wants to be an oil magnet. But if you are born with that vision, people from around the globe will come looking for you. And that thing is in you. There's something in you, but you look at it, oh, people will laugh at me. Today, we are talking of comedians. In the 50s, 70s, and 80s, if you say that you want to be a comedian, your mother or your father will say that they will take you to the village. To do what? To go and check whether you are truly their son. But today, they are the ones that are not only making you laugh, but making a lot of money. The same with footballers. For you to tell your father that he sent you to go and do engineering or lawyer, because then it was either law, and then you say that you went to play soccer. I don't think you will sleep in that house. Today, people are now, it's part of entrepreneurship. So for you as a young man or woman, a young girl, you must find out that thing that distinguishes you from the others. A lot of people talk about Mrs. Ifejika as an oil and gas woman. I didn't start off as an oil and gas person. As a matter of fact, I didn't have any prior education in oil and gas. I'm a lawyer by profession. And I managed by providence to step into oil and gas. But when I got into oil and gas, the only thing that I know how to do is that I'm a typical Igbo woman. You see the difference? There's Igbo woman. When they ask you, before the war, there's a difference. And then they can go after the war. Cow and gate. So I started early knowing how to make money. I remember even while I was working, are you a vision carrier? You cannot. In every family, you have only one star. That's why you have some in the family. You will have one that is exceptionally intelligent. If he's in business, he will stand out. That is the star. They don't have two stars in a family. So if you're not the star, you can key into that star in the family. But most times when you see the star, some will say, how did he come about this money? He has taken our destiny. Where did you keep your destiny before? In the shell. You understand? So, and God do not create that star. It must be somebody who is a giver, has the mind to give. It must be somebody who has the tenacity to stay on through thick and thin. It must be somebody who have milk of kindness. They don't give it to the people where their hands are erudite. You can't be that star. So if you're not the star, it doesn't matter. You can be, because he created us uniquely. So if you're not the star, you are created for a reason. Find out that purpose. Okay? But more importantly, whatever you want to do as an entrepreneur, be truthful, straightforward, and make your foundation God as your foundation, not human being. I started my company, Britannia U, with 1.5 million naira, not dollar. In the night, I saw, for the first time, I saw the well. And it's like somebody I couldn't see the face and saying, why? My daughter, why are you crying? You went on the opposite direction instead of this direction. And I called my MD, 6 a.m., said, I saw the well. He said, which well? You didn't go there. I said, we went on the opposite direction instead of the other side. He said, this is not spiritual, this is technical. We drilled a dry hole. I'm skidding out of that well. And I was bold enough to tell him, if you do that, I'll fire you instantly. And he didn't. We got the geologists. They gave us new coordinates. Truly, it was that opposite direction. We went on the wrong direction and crossed a major fault. So the prognosis that they did showed that we went on the opposite direction instead of the other side. And when we now went back the other side, 5 days after that, we struck oil. And that is the Britannia U that you're seeing today. If I had skidded out of the well, it will turn out the thing that they told me, you're the first woman owner-operator, not in Nigeria, not in Africa, but around the world. They gave you 2 months that nobody has done, no woman has been there. And who are you? You're not a technically competent person. But when they finish, at times they will tell me they gave you 2 months. It's not about wearing nice suits. I like suits. Nice suit, makeup. This one is serious business. But I have proved all of them wrong. Today, I'm still standing. Britannia U is still standing. So for you to take that leap of faith, you must be ready to take a lot of, fireworks. Don't look at whether you have money. If it's your vision, the person, you can just see somebody and discuss the matter. The person will fund it. That's how God works. But you must make God the foundation of everything that you're doing. Without that, you're wasting your time. Do you understand me? So for me, anything I want to do, I first of all put it before God. And that's why people will tell you, this woman, who is this woman? She's troublesome. Because by the time you put it before God, He's already told you what He wants to do with it. Who owns you? Who created you? What that you are breathing today, who made it possible? So if you place anything you want to do, He will tell you what He wants from you. So, but what all of us are doing is waiting for personal recognition, acceptance. That is nonsense. The person that you're expecting to, he's alive today, he can sleep and not wake up. What happens? So, what I'll leave you with, pursue your dream. Look deep down inside you. Place it before God. And then ask Him for direction. He will tell you. He will get people that will help you. The money and the speed with which you will actualize that vision, He will make it possible. So I'm leaving you people with this. Make sure that what you want to get into, don't be a copycat. Because my friend, we were classmates. He was so dumb that he used to copy from me. I used to borrow him this. Now he has opened this software company and he's doing so well. I want to go and do software. You don't have, that's not your calling. Your calling can just be to be a teller. A young man made the dress that I wore for my 60th birthday. People thought it was the one I imported. The second dress I wore, if you watched my birthday, the second black dress was made by a Nigerian young man. Ugomonye. And everybody was looking at it. Where did you get it from? So, you can be a teller. But that teller, you can imagine sewing for me. And everybody is asking me, I've marketed him everywhere. That is it. So, please be who God have created you to be. And not who people, your friends and your relation and family wants you to be. I leave you with that. Thank you.
This is as far as we go in our broadcast of a Stanel Petrochemical Group Business Forum here on Channels Television. Regular programming continues after now. Stay with us.
You've been watching a live Channels Television event.